Hey everyone, back to you into today's video, doing a bit of a longer range look ahead today. Going to have a look at the rest of October, November, and maybe even a little bit of a hint about December as well. Now, before I get on with that, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles sitting underneath the weather video here on my homepage at gasweathers.com. If you have a browse through the widget, you'll see if there's any articles that you're interested in. If there is, you'll be able to click through and go off and read the article when you've finished at gasweathers.com, of course, and you'll be helping to support the website by doing that. There's also green keyword ads on some pages, so if you roll your cursor over green keyword, they'll display ads. If you click through the word, you'll go to the website and you'll be helping to support gasweathers.com again by doing that. Just say about the comment boxes, we've got new comment boxes on many of the pages today. We've joined up with Discuss, so if you're interested or you want to leave a comment about the videos or you want to get into a discussion, just register with Discuss and then you'll be able to comment on all of the videos and all of the goings on at gasweathers.com over the next few weeks and months. We're going to be coming up to the winter period, of course, soon, so it's going to be a very interesting period, I'm sure, for the weather, however it plays out. So let's get on with the Japanese forecast first of all for the coming month. It's JMA Friday, as always. These are 500 meter height anomalies broken down into weekly periods. The first week period will be the week we're currently in, the 9th to the 16th of October. And we can see that we've got below average height sitting just here to the west of the country, above average height sitting out to the east. So British Isles, by the way, is upside down. We're just there. And the flow is generally quite unsettled with this, and also pretty mild as well, bringing the air up from a southerly southwesterly direction. I think that's how things are going to play out next week. It's going to be quite a mild week, but I think it will be quite unsettled, especially later on, turning milder, warmer air coming up from the south, but I think we could bring up quite a bit of rain from the southwest with that mild flow. Mind you, Monday looks very wet down in the south as well. It could be quite cold on Monday with that area of low pressure. That's crept up on us a little bit. I'll be talking more about that in the week ahead forecast. However, I think England and Wales could get a really wet day of it on Monday and cold too. But generally, the forecast for next week is probably warming up a bit and still pretty unsettled. Now, as we go through to the next week period, the 16th to the 23rd of October, we're looking at above average heights setting up then, quite interestingly, down to the south and the southwest of the country. Got this area of yellow developing. The flow is still generally westerly to southwesterly, so it's relatively unsettled, particularly in the north, but down in the south I think it is settling down a little bit on that sort of a scenario. Maybe some mist and fog patching coming through as well, but not desperately cold by any means with the high pressure in that particular position. Then going through to the 3rd and 4th weeks, which takes us from the 23rd of October to the 6th of November, so going into next month, just going past bonfire night, we find that the above average heights are disappearing, so it implies that through that final part of October and into the start of November, the unsettled weather is coming back. Really, we've got below average heights setting up in the Atlantic and around Greenland as well. Low pressure is there. The flow is going generally westerly, so it's probably breaking down any brief period of finer weather through that second week of the forecast period, and turning more unsettled, I think, as we get through to the end of October and the start of November. Now, not desperately unsettled by any means. The trough isn't deep and right over the top of the country, but the idea, the suggestion, is that the above average heights breaks down quite quickly and we revert back to a westerly flow. Nothing particularly cold, though, showing up on any of these charts. If we have a look at the Beijing Climate Center, again, these are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into 10-day periods this time. This will be taking us through the coming month. The first 10-day period is going from the 11th to the 20th of October. And we see here we've got the blue colours, the below average heights around and to the west, to the southwest of the country, unsettled through that 10-day period. Above average heights up to the northeast, a little bit of northern blocking up there, but generally we're under this trough of low pressure, and it is pretty unsettled through that middle part of October. Now, a little bit different to the JMA, because the Beijing Climate Center is not seeing a more settled spell, actually. So as we go through to the 21st to the 30th of October, we just keep that trough in over the country, really, so it stays very unsettled through that final 10 days of October. Of course, we could get some sort of a ridge for a day or two, but it isn't seeing any particular signal for above average heights setting up like the Japanese model does in that week between the 16th and the 23rd. It's got that ridge sitting just to the south and the southwest, but Beijing Climate Center isn't really seeing that. It's seeing the below average heights persisting throughout October as an anomaly. Doesn't mean you can't get a day or two that deviates from it, but as an anomaly, the unsettled weather looks like it's bedded in there, really going through to the end of October. The next 10-day period takes us from the 31st of October to the 9th of November, and then the heights are coming up a little bit, quite interestingly. We're reverting towards near normal heights, so that could imply that the trough through that early part of November is weakening and maybe allowing some sort of a ridge to begin to try to build in anyway, so maybe more settled through the first 10 days of November. Could be a little bit colder with risk of frost and fog through that period, but we lose the rain. But then the trough comes back again. The final 10-day period that we can look at with this takes us from the 10th of November to the 19th of November. The trough is coming back, and we're setting up low pressure with those blue colours out to the southwest of the country. Now, that's a little bit to the south of its normal position, so what's going on there is that the jet stream is quite a strong jet stream, but the jet stream is coming southwards a little bit to be running through something like that, as opposed to its normal position, which would be to the north of British Isles, somewhere around Iceland. So it implies turning unsettled again through that final 10 days of the forecast period, the middle of November. But it could be turning colder a little bit with that, particularly to the north. Could start to dig in some colder air in towards Scotland if that jet stream does start to push a little bit south. By the way, notice this deep trough setting up over the central part of the United States. That could bring some very cold air down into the States through November if that was to come up. The precipitation anomaly for the month for Beijing Climate Center, not surprising looking at the breakdown of those 10-day 500 millibar heights, is for a much wetter than average month. There we are over there, we're in those blue colours, a very wet month of it coming up, an unsettled month. But the temperature anomaly actually is coming out warmer than average, and it's not really surprised because the Atlantic is dominating throughout, really, although the ridge perhaps builds in a little bit at the start of November, which could turn a bit colder at night with risk of frost and fog. But really, the temperature anomaly is warmer than average for the next month with above average rainfall. Finally, just have a look at the CFS from the United States, see what that's predicting. This is the city temperature forecast for Birmingham for the next 6 weeks. The graph here, we're looking at maximum temperatures with these peaks and minimum temperatures with the troughs of the graph. You can see that at November the 1st is just here, and out to then we're probably keeping temperatures around average, to be honest. There's no sign of anything particularly warm coming up, though it does go up a little bit just there, but no sign really that we deviate all that far from the average, but also no sign of anything desperately cold coming up to the start of November. We just sort of keep temperatures hovering around average. Get into November, and there is quite a significant drop in temperature taking place through that first week period. Remember, this is the period the Beijing Climate Center is indicating we might get a bit of a ridge setting up. So perhaps turning a bit colder to the start of November. And then it picks up a little bit for a day or two, but then it goes really cold actually here as we get through beyond the 6th, 7th. Its temperature's going very, very low indeed for the start of November. This is 3 Celsius just here, and we're about on a par with that in terms of maximum temperatures and some hard night frost. And it stays pretty cold there through to the middle of November, maybe a little bit of a pickup for a few days getting beyond the middle of the month. But that first half of November could be significantly cold there if this was to come off, with the risk of some very frosty nights being indicated through the first week to a couple of weeks of November. That's probably a bit over the top. You've got temperatures there going down on several nights below around -3 or -4 in Birmingham. I think that's probably a bit overdone. But it does show that if that high pressure was to start building in at the start of November, things could turn significantly colder, particularly at night. The 500 millibar height anomaly chart for November from the CFS on this morning's update from the website weatherweb.net, and these change daily, by the way, so if you come back tomorrow and look at this, it'll probably look a little bit different, but this is the 500 millibar height anomaly for November, showing quite a deep trough of low pressure around Scandinavia, and that's probably pulling down cooler air from the northwest, so that could be the reason for the temperatures dipping down with that trough over Scandinavia, and quite a deep trough at that. And as we go through to December, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly for December, showing a large area of above average height sitting to the northeast of the country around the Baltic and stretched back into western Russia. That's quite a significant area of blocking. The jet stream is coming across the Atlantic. It is quite a strong jet stream, but the idea here is that it's splitting really. It's coming up against that wall of high pressure sitting to the north and northeast. Some of the energy is going to the north, some of it is going down to the south and forming this cut-off low here around Spain and the central bowl of the Mediterranean. If the jet stream splits enough, that could allow this high pressure to the northeast to start to bring in colder air from the east. So that would be something we have to watch out for on that sort of a setup that the CFS is seeing there for December. Very highly speculative, of course, a long way off. So let's come back more towards October and November. Well, we've got a bit of a split between the Beijing and the JMA. The JMA wants to build in some above average heights for a time, around the 20th of October, something like that, whereas the Beijing Climate Center isn't really seeing it, wants to keep it very unsettled throughout the month. On the charts I'm looking at, I would tend to go with the Beijing Climate Center. I think we're going to have a proper unsettled month of it this October. I think the Atlantic is well and truly in, and we're going to have quite a strong jet stream coming through the country through the month. So I'd go with the Beijing Climate Center with above average rainfall for October. Getting into November, things could turn colder at the start of the month anyway, if that high pressure builds in and we start getting some frosty nights. But overall, I think the coming month is pretty unsettled with above average rainfall and probably coming out warmer than average really with the Atlantic blasting through. But there could be some cooler weather early in November. That's it for now. It's Week Air Forecast tomorrow. All of these charts are highly experimental, by the way, so don't ever take a long range update too seriously, particularly when it's in the papers, as it is today, talking about the coldest winter for a century, same as what we had last year, and you really do have to take with a pinch of salt. But no long range update should ever be taken particularly seriously, because all of the charts are experimental. We're pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope with what's possible from these models, so it's just for fun and enjoyment purposes only. Weekend forecast tomorrow. Come back for that. We've got a wet Monday to be talking about. That's it for now. Bye for now.